major scales are very, very important in music. They are just the basics, the foundation. They are just the foundation of music. Once you understand major scales, you can be able to understand almost any instrument, almost any music, whether it's theory, whether it's practical. Once you know major scales, you have the basics. You have the foundation of music. And you're going to find major scales in grade 1 ABRSM. Now, in grade 1, you're given only three, I think three or four. You're given only four. The C major scale, F major scale, D major scale, and G major scale. Those are the only scales that you're given in ABRSM grade 1 music theory. In total, we have 12 scales, okay? Just the way alphabets are written, like A, B, C, they go up to G in music. So there is A, there is B, C, D, E, F, and G. There is no scale called H or any other alphabet. They go up to G. Now, those alphabets are either sharpened or flattened or just remain natural. Okay, so those are the notes that are in major scales. So in total, they are 12 because of the ones that are sharpened and flattened. The ones that are in grade 1, like I have told you, is C, F, we have G, and we also have D. So this is the way they are going to look with the key signature of the C. The C has no sharp or flat on the scale. Okay, so the scale is made on one octave, like from C to C. An octave is an interval between one note and the other of the same name, like from C to C, whether lower or higher, that is an octave. Okay, so it will be made, the scale is made between C and the other C. So you will have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Those are the notes in one scale. Okay, so in one scale, you're going to have 7 notes. In other words, you're going to have 7 notes. You're going to have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay, C is a repetition of the first C that we had. So in other words, in every scale, you're going to have 7 notes. Now, those notes, for you to get the correct ones, because like I have told you, in total, all the notes that we have are 12. So how do you choose which 7 qualify to be in a particular scale? There is a formula to get the major scale, and the formula is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Now, you could wonder, what is a tone? What is a semitone? A semitone is the shortest interval, and it's the distance from one note to its immediate next. Okay, like now, if I am moving from C to a C sharp, that is an interval of a semitone. Now, when you hear the word semi, you know it means half. So a tone then will be now the full or the whole step. And the whole step will mean that you are moving from one note to another, and then now from that other note now to another. So you will have gone like 2 notes. Okay, that one now is the one that we consider to be a whole step. So there's a half step, which is a semitone, and it's a distance from one note to its immediate next. And then there is a whole step, which is now an interval of 2 semitones. All right. So in C, like the formula I have given you, you're going to move a tone, and then a semitone. A tone, a tone, a tone, and then a semitone for you to get the 7 notes. And it's going to give you a melody that is very common. It's called the solfa ladder. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That is the melody that you're going to get in every scale that you're going to have in major scales. All right. So in C, from C to D is a tone. The note that is in between C and D is a C sharp. Okay, don't make a mistake of looking at the keyboard and looking at it and seeing that C is just next to D. The black note is the note that comes after C. It sharpens the C and it also lowers the D. So when it lowers the D, it's going to be called a D flat. And when it sharpens the C, it's going to be called a C sharp. So meaning that the black note has 2 names. It is called an enharmonic. An enharmonic is a note that has 2 names, and those 2 names sound the same. You know, a D flat and a C sharp have the same sound. Those are 2 names, but the sound is the same. And it is in between 2 white notes. A black note will always be in between 2 white notes so that it can have those 2 names. The name of the note that it has sharpened, and the name of the note that it has flattened. So in between C and D is a C sharp or a D flat. You can call it a C sharp or a D flat. All right. And then in between D and E is a D sharp and E flat. Okay. That same note is going to be called D sharp and E flat. Okay. You will notice that between E and F, there is no black note. So the interval between E and F is a semitone because you're just moving from E to F without any black note in between. So that interval is going to be a semitone, all right? And then from F, you go to F sharp or G flat, okay? Yeah, that's an interval of a semitone. But from F to G is a tone because you have to go through that note and then where G is. So, like I have told you, if you go correctly following those intervals in the scale of C, you are not going to have any sharp or any flat in the scale of C. And this is how it's going to look on the stave. Okay, it's just going to be plain. The key signature comes right after the clef. You have the clef, the key signature, and then the time signature. You remember the time signatures that we did, the 4/4, the 2/4, the 3/4. Those ones come right after the key signature, right? So you have the clef, the key signature, and then the time signature. So for the C scale, you are not going to have any key signature. So when you see a plain stave without a key signature, then it means that that song is to be played in the key of C. When you see one sharp, it means that that song or that melody is supposed to be played in the key of G, because the key of G, if you do the scale and do the formula that I have taught you, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you're going to get a sharp on F. This is how the G major scale is going to look on a stave. Then we have next that has two sharps. The next one that has two sharps is the D major scale. So again, if you do the formula of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you're going to have two sharps on the scale of D. The first sharp is F sharp. Anything that has a sharp has F sharp, all right? It starts with F sharp. And then the next sharp is going to be C sharp. So if you see two sharps on a stave, then it means that you are on D major scale. Okay, it could be a minor, but in grade 1, we are not dealing with minors. We are only dealing with major scales. And those major scales are the four major scales that we're dealing with, which is C, G, D, and F. All right. So the other one is one flat. One flat. When you see one flat on a stave, then it means you are on the key of F major. So F major scale has one flat, and that flat is on B. It is a B flat. When you do the formula, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you might make a mistake of putting A sharp. But just to let you know that the interval between the note that is before that and the B, it has to be from A to B, okay? So that is because the interval between A and B is supposed to be a semitone, all right? The interval between A and B is supposed to be a semitone. And so what do? You have to flatten the B now to make it a semitone. That is why it is a B flat and not A sharp. So this is how it is going to look on the stave, the scale of F major. The possible questions from the ABRSM music theory in this topic of major scale is you could be asked to write ascending or descending of any scale. Write the F major descending, or you could be asked to write it descending. The other thing is that you could be asked to put it as a key signature and not an accidental. It could be put as an accidental, a flat on B, instead of it being a key signature. Because when it is in the middle of the notes, that one is going to be called an accidental. So if it is put on an accidental, then you have to put it where it's supposed to be put correctly on the stave as a key signature. The other thing you could be asked is, which key is this melody in? Which key is this melody in? So they're going to put a melody, and it could be also put the key signature, but then you're asked which key that is. or you could be asked which clef to put in that particular stave. So those are the possible questions in the ABRSM concerning the topic of major scales. I would like you to join my class because the class is interactive. It's online class. All you need is a phone or a laptop, and I am able to teach you direct, and I can explain there much better. So I want you to join my class. On the comment section, write join. If you have been able to answer the questions that are in ABRSM on this topic, put them down on the comment section so that I can see if you got them right. Join my class so that I can be able to interact with you. I can be able to ask you questions. You can be able to ask me questions. Type the word join on the comment section and I will show you how you're going to join that class. Have a good day.